are there so many cathedrals in Spain?
There are a lot of cathedrals in Spain because its culture is based a lot in religion, kind of similar to Pakistan. So they have spread out these cathedrals all over the country so that their people can go to them and worship and kind of celebrate their religious culture.
And we had a question from earlier of why build castles and not some other type of structure or sturdy building?
Okay.
Is there a reason for that?
Why build castles versus a different sturdy type of structure? Well, castles were good because the people could live there, but they were also very good for defense. And also, when defending your land, I just think that was one of the better choices.
Okay. Lots of questions. Do you plan to move to any of these countries?
Personally, I don't plan to move there, but I would like to go back as often as I could. While I was visiting Spain, I only got to visit Madrid and Salamanca, which are two cities located in the center of Spain. So I didn't get to see really everything that it had to offer, such as Barcelona or the mountains or any of that. So I would like to go back as much as I could.
I would love to live in Scotland. It was so great. But also the great part about when I was studying abroad there was that plane tickets were really cheap. So I got to go to all of these other countries for pretty cheap. Spent like $15 to go to Ireland for a weekend. And then I got to go to Spain a bit too. So I would like to live there.
I don't think I would live in Pakistan, but I do definitely want to go back more often. This was the first time that I'd actually ever been there. This was about 2 years ago. And my family definitely likes to visit, so hopefully we can go back more. And I actually really want to visit Spain and Scotland too, so we'll see.
Do you know, Karen, approximately how many islands Scotland has?
Oh, I'm not sure how many islands Scotland has. It has a whole lot, though. Yeah, I would guess over 100.
Oh,
but,
wow.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's a guess.
We'll
It has
check.
a lot.
Let's see. Can you go swimming in the ferry's pool?
I'm not sure if you can go swimming in the ferry pool. There might be some rules against that. And I know when I went to Loch Ness, people couldn't go swimming there because it's so cold there. So if you get in the water, you can't because it's too cold.
Do you know how to introduce yourselves in any of the languages? If you want to, maybe go ahead and say how you do it and translate it.
So I actually am taking Spanish right now, so I can tell you in Spanish. Hola, me llamo Sarah Claire. So hola means hello in Spanish. And then you say me llamo, which means my name is, and then you follow it by your name.
I would just introduce myself in English. Hi, I'm Karen.
So I would introduce myself in Urdu. So first I would say Assalamu alaikum, which is the customary way to say hello in Muslim countries. And then I say Mera naam Mali hai, which is my name is Molly. So Mera naam means my name, and then you say your name and then hai. So.
Do you know why the construction of the Sagrada Familia is taking so long?
Personally, I do not know the answer to that. I think it probably has something to do with how intricate the design was, and that's probably the reason it's taking so long. Also, the designer did die in 1926, so I'm sure that kind of slowed it down originally as well.
If you did have the opportunity to live in another country, where would you visit or live?
I really want to live in Italy or Japan in the future.
Oh.
And I want to visit a lot of different countries. And my mom is from England, so I've been to London several times, and I'd really like to stay there longer, like live there for a little bit.
Yeah, if I lived in Scotland, I'd like to go to Germany, you know, can take some weekend trips.
I really want to visit Australia. That's one of the countries that I really want to go to, except it's a little far away, so I'll have to plan a time to do that, but I really would like to go there.
And what was your favorite food or native food from each country that you've been to?
I can go ahead and start. So while I was studying in Spain, we did have a couple cooking classes while we were there. And a favorite that me and my classmates made was la tortilla de española, which is kind of similar to an omelet that you would see here. It's eggs, potatoes, onions, and it's made kind of in one pan all together, but it's like really fluffy, and I don't know how to describe it, but it's really good. We all kind of saved the recipe and we all make it at home now because we enjoyed it so much.
In Scotland, I like the steak cakes or like steak pies. It was just like steak wrapped in kind of phyllo dough. So that was pretty good.
I'd say my favorite thing is probably some of the sweets. So sweets are called mithai, and my favorite one is barfi, which is like milk and sugar. It's pretty simple, but it tastes really good, like when you make it a certain way.
Were the people in all the countries nice?
Yes. When I stayed in Spain, I actually lived with a host family. So I lived in a house with two people who lived in Salamanca. So I was kind of like their children for the month that I was there. And that was really fun. We like ate dinner and lunch every day together and had conversations around the table. So they were very nice to have us, and that was great.
Yeah, the Scottish were very hospitable, so they were very welcoming.
I stayed with my family, so they were nice. But some of the people, there's a very different culture around there, so sometimes they're not as hospitable or friendly as people in America would be.
What is the coolest place that you've been to in the countries? Or your favorite?
My favorite in Spain would probably be the Cathedral in Salamanca, because it is kind of unique in the fact that it has the old cathedral that was built earlier connected to a newer cathedral that they built. So I got to see kind of the two different styles that were around during both of those times. So that was really cool.
I really liked going to Arkart Castle which is by Loch Ness, because to get there, I had to take a bus through the Highlands of Scotland, so I got to see a lot of the Highlands and a lot of lakes on the way. And then when we got to Loch Ness, they took us on a boat over the water, and then they used sonar to see the fish below us. So that was very cool.
I'd say my favorite is probably the Badshahi Mosque, just because I've seen that in pictures so many times before I went. So seeing it in person was really cool. And there were definitely a lot of people there. And it's just very iconic. So it was nice to see that.
And they want to know a little bit more about how you traveled. And I know all of you traveled in different ways, if it was study abroad at UNC or, you went in high school or family. So just a little bit reminder of.
So I studied abroad when I was in high school. So I was about to go into my junior year of high school, and I studied abroad over the summer. It was me and 7 other girls in my grade. So we all went over there for a period of time, and then we came back together. So we kind of went over there and took classes on Spanish grammar and conversation, and that's what I did while I was there.
I studied abroad for a semester at UNC. So in my sophomore year, for the second half, I went to Scotland for 4 months. There were 2 other girls from UNC who went to the same place as me, but we didn't really see each other too much because we lived in separate places. But then I took classes that the university offered in Scotland. Took a class on Scottish medieval history, so that was fun.
Yeah, so like I said, my family lives there, so this was the first time that I had visited, and the first time my parents had gone in 20-something years. So yeah, we stayed with family, and I didn't do anything academic, so it was pretty fun.
Do you have any popular beverages that they had there that you didn't have here, or sweet drinks?
In Spain, I actually drink a lot of the same beverages. So they have Coca-Cola, Sprite, Fanta. And in my opinion, soda tastes better in Spain than it does here. So I kind of miss that about it. But
yeah, Scotland has a lot of the same as we do here, but it also has a famous drink called Iron Brew, which you only really found there. But last summer, I found it in a Harris Teeter, I think, in Greenville, where I live. So I guess they're starting to have it more here. But I don't really like the taste of Iron Brew. It tastes kind of like cough medicine to me, but that's pretty famous.
I'd say that Pakistan also has a lot of similar soft drinks. Something that's really popular there is lassi, which is a yogurt drink. I didn't actually try it because it sounded a bit weird to me, but a lot of people enjoy that.
And they want to know what you guys are studying at UNC.
I am an exercise and sports science major at UNC, and I also have a minor in medical anthropology and Spanish for the health professions. So I'm currently on a track to be a physical therapist.
Nice. Yeah, I'm a biology major, and I have a minor in chemistry, so I study science here.
I'm a health policy and management and global studies major, so I have 2 majors, and I'm not sure what I want to do in the future, but yep.
Is coffee a popular drink in these countries?
Yes. In Spain, café is how they say it, and it is very popular. They drink it a lot in the morning.
Coffee is popular enough in Scotland. You can still get it there, but tea is kind of more preferred.
Same with Pakistan. Tea is huge there. They drink it after every meal, and they usually drink it with milk and sugar, so it's called chai, but that's a big thing.
And what time did you eat dinner in Spain?
Well, when I was in Spain, we had classes all morning, and then we would go back to our houses and eat lunch around like 2, and then we would have a siesta, which I'm sure you probably have heard about, and then we would go on excursions and then come back and eat dinner around like 7 to 8, but that's pretty early for Spain. Usually people in Spain eat around like 9 or 10.
Do you prefer Pakistani food or U.S. food, Molly?
I actually am not a huge fan of Pakistani food. I don't know if that's just because I've grown up around it, but I think I prefer U.S. food, but there are definitely certain like dishes in Pakistani food that I prefer over U.S. food.
They want to know if you saw the Loch Ness Monster, if it's real.
I was looking.
Anything you know about the Loch Ness Monster, they want to know a little more about it.
Okay, the Loch Ness Monster, regardless if it's real or not, which, yeah. Okay, it still brings a lot of tourism to that area, and it really helps the economy in the Highlands, because then a lot of people go and buy their necklaces and get on their boats. And then, so the boat was sonar, so it would send the sound to the bottom, and then if it bounced off a fish, it would show us little pictures of fish. So everyone on the boat, we were all watching the screen. It was a pretty big boat. But we didn't see any Loch Ness Monster, but I was looking. So.
Do you know why the House of Mirrors was built in Pakistan? By chance?
Yeah, so one of the emperors, the Mughal emperor who was ruling at the time, he actually built it for his wife, Shah Jahan. A lot of the monuments there were built for her, actually. And when I went there, a guide told us all the history, but I don't really remember much of it. I know that it was like kind of a place for her to go to, and they had like a lot of performers come there during the nights, and there was also like a little garden behind there, so yeah.
And what are the definitions of mahal and mosque?
Mahal means palace, and then sheesh is mirrors, so it means palace of mirrors. And then mosque, that's the American word for masjid, which is like the place of worship for Muslims, so kind of like a church. But yeah, mosque is just the American word for it.
And how different is the Scottish language from English?
Okay, so there are like 3 national languages of Scotland. There's Scottish Gaelic, and then there's Scots, and there's English. So Gaelic is very different. It's like a Celtic language. It's kind of like Irish. So that's pretty different. But Scots, some people say it's not even its own language. It's a dialect of English, which Harry Potter, it just came out with a copy of Harry Potter in Scots. So I got that to kind of see for myself, and I can read it and I can understand it. So Scots and English are very similar, but Gaelic is different.
And what do you miss most about the countries you visited? Probably the last question.
For me, I know that I miss the history a lot, just walking along the streets and seeing these old castles and these old stones and the buildings, and it was just like living in history, so I miss that.
I think I miss just like being around all my family, and just going back to where my parents grew up, so it's very, very cool to see. And I wish I could spend more time there so I could feel more a part of that. Yeah.
I think I miss always having something to do. If I wasn't in class, I was on excursions going to look at these cathedrals or these famous buildings, or I was in cooking classes or dance classes or learning about art classes, stuff like that. So I think I missed that the most, that I was always doing something that was interesting.
All right.
Thank you.
So thank you, everyone. We'll be back in about 15 minutes with our next presentation, which is on food in China and in South Africa. And then we have another presentation at 1:30 today that's about Hungary and Germany. So thanks again for all your great questions and your participation. And hopefully we'll see you at our next presentation.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.